Hey everybody, welcome back. We are in lesson 6, which is the 5th commandment. I've got to keep those two things straight in my head, right? Lesson 6, the 5th commandment, where we are continuing to talk about our relationship with other people. This horizontal relationship God has given to us. Remember, the vertical is us and Him. The horizontal is us and other people. And starting with commandment 4, we get into this horizontal relationship. So, last time we talked about how we should obey our parents, to obey our mother and father, because then it will go well with us. Now today, it goes back into talking about what we shouldn't do. And that is that you should not murder. All right? So, that's the big word up on the board today. You should not murder. So, this all begins at the very beginning. So, take us back to the very beginning, Pastor Brian.
There's no selfishness. There's a perfect relationship everywhere between Adam and Eve, between God, between all the animals and Adam and Eve, between all of the plants and the animals. Everything has its appropriate and its right and good relationship. God gives Adam and Eve this special creation when He says that you are made in the image of God. And he actually says that the triune God makes man and woman in their image. And He gives us that. Now, unfortunately, selfishness does enter the picture. Humans, we rebel against God's good rule, and we want to be number one. We want to be on top. And we see what happens from that rebellion, that breaking of our relationship with God, when Cain kills Abel.
Yeah, the very first thing after they get kicked out of the Garden of Eden, we hear the story about their sons, right? Cain and Abel.
I want to be the best. I want to be number one. Love me more.
What are you talking about, Cain? We just have to give our offerings to God. That's all it is.
Grain is stupid.
Oh, well, whatever. I'm just going to go give my offering.
I'm going to kill you.
What's kill?
This. Get out of here. Selfishness.
So murder is killing somebody. It's just taking someone else's life. There are lots of nuances to that, and maybe you'll ask us some questions as well about that. But murder really simply is just taking someone else's life. And are we meant to do that? With everything that you know about how God created us, are we really meant to do that?
Well, God said it's our image. It's His. He's in charge of that life.
We're not?
We are not in charge of that life.
Okay.
So therein keys on what's really going on here is that those first 3 commandments, the ones with our vertical relationship between us and God, when that goes all wonky, it breaks our relationships with other people. That's why life is best lived for ourselves and others with that vertical relationship, that relationship we have with God, on par. It's not our human right whatsoever to feel that we have the authority to take what is God's and what that person has from God. It's never okay.
Yeah, God created us in His image, and that image is His, right? It's His life. He always aims for life. God is always about bringing about new life and everything. And so this whole idea of murder, it just runs counter to everything that God speaks to us about.
There's a great amount of evidence that there is no culture in history, anywhere geographically, that says, go murder people. Why not? In fact, any culture that does come up with any reasoning behind this has to say those people aren't really human, which is what we're talking about here, which is you are human, which means you do have God's image and you're valued by Him.
Exactly. So the positive way that Martin Luther talks about this this commandment isn't just you shouldn't murder, but then he always says, well, what should we do instead? What's the positive steps? What can we take in our everyday life to make this work in our world? Because I'm hoping that you don't go away from this video thinking, well, I'm just going to wake up every morning and think, I'm not going to murder people. That's not healthy.
Don't think about murder.
Please don't do that. We say, do not do that. Do not, yes. Instead, think about this. What Martin Luther says is that we should fear and love God so that we should care for people's bodies. So that we don't just not kill people. It sounds so bad. But we should actually actively work towards taking care of their bodies. So making sure that the physical needs of people are taken care of. Hunger, thirst, shelter, clothing.
Relationships,
Emotional needs, absolutely. So all these things, the way that we care for people is huge. And strangely, it all stems from this commandment. That we can actually make a huge difference in this world to connect our relationships with one another because of what God's done for us by taking care of other people. So
you mean when God made the world and He gave us everything we need in it, and even to this day He promises to give us everything we need for our body and our soul, that in the fifth commandment, yeah, He's saying don't go murder, but He's also calling us to do the work of caring for others with Him.
Right there.
So He wants to work with you and through you to be a blessing to others.
I think that's exactly what it's saying. Because
wow,
you are made in the image of God, and I am made in the image of God. And am I greater than you?
No.
No. Are you greater than me?
No.
No. And the same goes for all of you as well. You are not greater than anyone else in God's eyes.